Hi, welcome to Maggie Chats Books. Today I'm going to do the Sci-Fi Challenge wrap-up. Since we're at the end of September, I finished all 5 challenges, which is rather rare for me on challenges, so I'm proud of that. The challenge was started by Beckie at Beckie Bookworm, and I'll link her channel below. Of the 5 challenges, the first challenge was to read a book with a strong female protagonist, and I read 2 in a series, and that's Binti and Binti Home. These are by Nnedi Okorafor. They are stories about a young woman, Binti, who is about 16 years old when you start with the books. She has been accepted into a university. It is in outer space. She comes from a group that does not leave their homeland. They're very connected to the place where they live, but she goes off to college. That's the first book. The second book is her returning home, called Home. These are both really great books. I gave them both 5 stars. I really recommend them and can't wait for the next book to be released. The second challenge was to read a book set on the moon. I read a short story called It's Great to Be Back by Robert A. Heinlein. And it was about a couple that lives on the moon, and they are tired of living on the moon, so they go back to Earth. Aren't real happy there and want to go back. Although it's only partially set on the moon, I didn't find one that was all set on the moon, so I thought that would be okay for this challenge. That book was a short story, as I said. It's in a compilation. I'll show it up here. I gave the overall story 3 stars. Beckie's third challenge was to read a book with a spaceship on the cover. I chose Old Man's War by John Scalzi. I just discovered John Scalzi this month, have read 2 books by him. I really enjoy his books. Old Man's War is first in a series of, I believe, 8 books. This is about the Earth in the future, where Earth is pretty much going on as normal, though we have been able to colonize on other planets. And because we are on other planets, there are other aliens or other societies that want our space on those planets, and so there's intergalactic wars. On Earth, once you turn 75, you are offered a chance to go into the military, where you're promised a more youthful body and probably a longer life. So a lot of people sign up when they're 75. So our protagonist, John Perry, decides at 75 to sign up for the military, and he does. And it talks about his experiences in space. There's a lot going on, so this is a very good self-contained book. You could read it and not have to go read the other 8 books or other 7 books, but you want to read them because I think it's a very interesting story and there's more things you want to learn about. I gave this book 4 stars, really enjoyed it, and plan on reading the rest of the series. Beckie's fourth challenge was to read a book written by a woman, so I read The 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin. This is the first book in the Broken Earth trilogy. Most people have read, many people have read this book, so I won't go into it too much other than the area that we are in, or the setting that we are in, is where all continents are attached. They are very volatile. There are earthquakes and volcanoes, which I guess are trying to separate those continents. There are 5 seasons. The 5th season is the catastrophic season, which will change the world to include killing off most of the people. There are groups of people called Origines who can control the earthquakes and the volcanoes to some extent. The main character is an Origine. The Origines are also feared and sometimes killed because they can bring on catastrophic events themselves. This book was really good. I am now actually starting The Obelisk Gate. Haven't finished it yet. Should finish it by the end of September. I gave this book 4 stars. And the last challenge was to read a book written before 2000, so I read From the Earth to the Moon by Jules Verne. This story was written in 1865. It's contained in this very large volume. There's 7 other stories in here. Jules Verne wrote about a gun club in the United States that was known for building cannons and guns for war. When the war ended, they felt they had no direction, so the president of the gun club decides that they need to have a new challenge, and they come up with shooting a cannonball to the moon. The plan evolves so that they're actually shooting a rocket or spaceship to the moon with people in it. The book was interesting in that he got quite a bit of the science correct, from what I understand about the science of going to the moon. But 100 years before going to actually the first rocket being shot, he knew that the best place in the United States to shoot a rocket to get to the moon would be from South Florida or South Texas. He also understood about the rotation of the Earth and the rotation of the moon, and how that would be, what would be the ultimate time to send a rocket to the moon. So that part was interesting. The rest of the story was the focus on guns and cannons and things like that I didn't enjoy. It's very male focused, almost like listening to business meetings sometimes. It was interesting and entertaining to some degree. I gave this one 3 stars. I liked it. I didn't love it, but it was an interesting story to read. And I do want to read more Jules Verne's, because I think I would enjoy like Journey to the Center of the Earth more than I did the story that I did read. So that is the science fiction challenge. Thanks to Becky for coming up with this challenge. It was very entertaining and right up my street. That's all I have for now. I will talk to you later. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.